like the big booming intro, David. Boom, boom, ba, 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 boom. That's good. That's from Wyatt Lloyd, by the way, from a few years ago. I've had that for 4 or 5 years.
Well, I think 4A was racing a CRG. So, yeah, definitely a few years ago. Yeah.
Hey, guys, welcome to another edition of Face2Face here on the EKN Facebook page. Our new, what are we? Episode 15. So we've got 15 of these in the books right now. We kind of started this thing off through the whole COVID-19 pandemic shutdown, doing Instagram Lives. We did a ton of those almost every day. We were on Instagram Live. Moving it over here, of course, to Facebook, which allows us to upload it then to YouTube as well. We get to save them, and then we turn them into podcasts and content for the EKN Radio Network as well. We've had some great guests on right now, and most recently, David, we've been kind of focusing on talking to track owners, track managers, series promoters, to try to bring everybody up to speed so they can actually see face-to-face talking to the promoter about what's happening, how we're getting going, and what the kind of status is with those individual tracks, clubs, and series.
Yeah, our episode 15, that means our program can go open wheel racing now, right?
That's it. There you go.
As we were talking about pre-show about something else. Yeah, pretty much we've been just kind of informing everybody of what's going on over the past 3 months, getting insights from different facilities, because obviously, as we know, the way the pandemic has kind of unfolded, it's different depending on where you live and where you're working and where you want to go racing. So we've just been able to do that. So this is another episode of that. Hopefully, as we get closer to June or July, we'll be able to actually be talking about races and getting people. I think next week we'll have Greg Jasperson on. He'll be able to talk about the opening weekend of the Cup Karts North America program. So we'll be getting able to talk about actual racing and not just COVID-19 situation.
Yeah. Won't that be nice?
It will be. And it'll be great to get out of the house and actually go to a racetrack and breathe the actual fumes and tire and just see an engine fire up again for the first time.
I'm actually planning on hitting the track in Hamilton with Trevor Wickens from Prime Power Team. We're going to put a cart together for me. He's got one. I'm just going to use one of their older carts to jump behind the wheel to get some seat time. I don't care what it is. I just need to put the helmet on and get some seat time for sure. I'm looking forward to that. What?
Like Trinity Karting Group, they pulled out a Margay shifter. When was the last time you saw a Margay shifter with a KZ on it? I mean, come on, that's just fun stuff. Whatever you got, pull it out of the garage, go race. Now is a perfect time for a lot of that to happen. Because especially as we've talked about in previous shows, club tracks are where you can go racing right now, and I'm sure they're happy to take anybody. We have a vintage race going on, I think, next week at Newcastle. So, vintage racing going on all other places across the country. So, it should be good.
So everybody knows who is obviously coming on here. We did some pre-show on this. We got Mike Smith from CalSpeed Karting joining us today. California, of course, one of the states that was kind of holding on. Arizona opened up early. Indiana with Newcastle was opened early. Texas got rolling. A lot of tracks kind of under the radar opening for practice, private practice. California finally opening up, David, which is huge. Let's bring Mike Smith in right now, the track manager at CalSpeed Karting. We'll say hello to him first. Mike, how are you, my friend?
It's good to see you guys.
Good to see you guys as well. Good to see you as well. As we get going, we'll give a shout out to people that have dropped some comments already. Tony Jump says, "Hey boys." David Waite says, "Get Trevor on here." Talk about Trevor Wickens. Well, I might do one from trackside with him while we're at the track. So that's something we'll look at potentially next week after I get my time. Mark Traylor coming on as well. Alicia Hodap, where you? Of course, she's coming on there from the other room with the A cup.
That doesn't mean you're A for driving, right?
What's that?
That just means A for her name.
That's me. A on my report card for my driving.
A? Yeah, the Canadian A.
Yeah, okay. Just so we know, we also are going to be doing our support karting T-shirt hashtag challenge draw for our first EKN swag bag. We're going to have some EKN stuff that we're going to give out, so I'll jump on that soon. But Mike, before we jump into that, I want the first straight up, how happy are you that you're finally going to have karts and people out there driving around CalSpeed?
Well, as you guys know, I love what I do, and everybody we do it with here at CalSpeed, everybody's got a lot of passion for it. So after a solid 3 months of not having an active CalSpeed, we're itching.
Yeah, I bet.
This is going to be awesome.
All right, so I'm going to jump into this thing here right now. I'm going to get this thing going. We've got everybody's name in a piece of paper, folded it all up. Someone's going to win. Listen, we appreciate it. If the support karting t-shirts are all still available. Go to eKartingNews.com/store. Get your t-shirts. It supports the EKN partners. 100% of the profit goes back. Our net profit goes back to the people that make eKarting News happen. So we appreciate everybody who has been supporting the sport, whether it's through the t-shirt or just buying stuff from your local kart shop. Thank you so much. Over these 3 months, like Mike talked about, everything was shut down, and it was amazing for everybody to do what they did and step up. So the t-shirts are still available. Heidi Welk still has t-shirts available, so you can order them through that link that David just posted up there, eKartingNews.com/store. When you get your shirts, here's the challenge. Take a picture of it, post it to any of the social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Tag eKarting News and use the hashtag support karting. Your name goes in the hat, and we're gonna send out hats, t-shirts, whatever we got. We got a bunch of stuff that we're gonna hand out. I just want to thank you guys for doing this, because it's awesome to scroll through my feeds and see people do that, which is amazing. And there's a bunch of people in here. So let's start with the first one here. All right. Whoop. No, we're good. All right. Here's my first one here.
Butterfingers.
Caleb Gaffera Racing. Caleb Gaffera Racing. They bought a bunch of stuff. They always buy lots of stuff. But Caleb Gaffera Racing, thank you guys. I appreciate that. And again, he's out of the hat. Boom. We'll do another one. So probably another one next week. We'll do another one next week, so that we'll send them a prize package and get things underway. But folks, please do that. Please make sure you take care of the sport still. We want to get rid of all of our shirts before it's all said and done. So thank you so much. There we go. All right, let's get back to CalSpeed Karting, man. Listen, Mike, we've been talking about stuff. You guys have been doing your own podcasts as well. Southern California just sitting and absolutely waiting. And I asked you before we did the draw to have that track just sitting there. And you couldn't even have private practice. See, a lot of tracks were able to still have private practice if they were a private, member-owned track or a private track. They could have practice. The big thing with you guys is the connection with NASCAR, right, and the actual ownership of the facility.
Yeah, no, for sure. With us being here at Auto Club Speedway, you talked about some people kind of maybe under the radar or whatever. The radar is fixed. There's no under the radar here, and yeah, we have to make sure that everything is by the book and make sure we get everything done correctly. And yeah, so nothing going on here for about 3 months, and we did a pretty good job of growing some weeds and having a pretty good layer of dirt. Every once in a while, we would get a chance to do a podcast or whatever, and just you'd see the weeds get a little bit taller, a little bit taller. You're like, man, it's a sad state of affairs.
So kind of go into like what you were able to do. Like, were you able to do anything to the racetrack? Were you just able to come into the office and sit in the office and not go anywhere around the facility? Like, what were kind of the guidelines and restrictions you had at being just at the facility itself?
Actually, with us working here and whatnot, I mean, we haven't been working here at all. But the fact that we were able to get in, literally, it was nothing. Once we got to the point where I think it was early April or so, where the unemployment thing started happening. There's no income coming in for the track whatsoever, right? But the bills are still there.
Yeah.
So, we had to lay everybody off, unfortunately. And the fortunate side of that is obviously the way things are going with the unemployment. So the employees were taken care of pretty well. As far as being out here, it was just watching nothing. We couldn't do anything. And then you get to a point where the track hasn't been around anymore, or it hasn't been running anymore, and you got so much dirt and stuff on it that there's no point of doing anything unless you can. So yeah, it was basically closed to the public 100%.
So let's talk about the reopening now. Things covered in dirt. What do you guys? What's the steps for you guys now to go out there to get this track to the point where people can get out there safely and get practice going on? When will that be? Let's start with what's the date when we get started? Who gets started? When do they get started? And what do you guys have to do to get the track ready?
Well, what we got to do is make sure we got a track that actually is ready to rock. So it's been some volunteering on the weed game, on the cleanup a little bit to make sure there's actually a clean track and whatnot. But as far as the regulations or the procedures, etc., basically what we've got is a set of procedures that is kind of come down from NASCAR, with it being at the Auto Club Speedway. So what we're going to have is online, which is actually our deal, to try to have the least amount of lines and stuff like that, least amount of congregation. That's the main thing. Try to eliminate an environment where you're going to have people hanging out around each other, like registration lines, on the grid and stuff like that. So we've got the temperature thing that we got to do. So we're going to be hitting the temperature on everybody as they roll through here. We actually covered a bunch of stuff in the CalSpeed Live show last night, which people can check out on our Facebook page.
We'll share that for you.
Facebook page. And then but yeah, you're hitting the temperature deal. We've got the standard waivers everybody has to do, but on top of that, there's actually a COVID waiver specific from NASCAR that we have to do, and everybody has to hit that every single time they're here, kids included. That means their parents have to be here. So a little bit, call it stricter, a little bit more intense on what we got to do to make sure we can go racing out here, at least for what we'll be having Friday, Saturday, Sunday with open practice. So your kart owners and whatnot, as well as rentals, that online reg system, trying to make sure we do it all online as much as possible. Still got to do the reg to get here, but some of the interaction is going to be lessened. And then the hours are going to be a little bit different. Typically, we would be gates at 9 and we go hot as soon as we can. Now it's going to be gates at 9. We actually go hot at 10. And that's going to allow everybody who's working to kind of get through that registration line with everybody staying in their cars for the most part, with the exception of the on-sites that kind of go up one at a time.
You know what? Let's take this opportunity, because I know you talked a bit about rental kart program, and you have an arrive and drive program for people that maybe not know the full extent of what you guys do at CalSpeed. You have the racing, obviously, LAKC races there, Tri-C Karters races there. You have a lot of big races as well throughout the season in regular years. Talk a bit about the Super Series as well. I know that's going to get going again too.
Yeah, exactly. So like we said, this weekend's going to be just arrive and drive rentals, if you will, and some competition karters coming out to practice. And I do know we're going to have a lot of the people from the Super Series and our Ironman series that's going to happen next weekend on Saturday. They're coming out to practice this weekend. A lot of people haven't been in the seat. They're in the same boat we are. No one's really. You haven't been driving a CalSpeed sport kart in 3 months as well. Yep. So there's going to be a lot of people knocking the rust off for the Ironman, which is our 1 hour endurance race that we handle the morning next on the 20th, next Saturday. Yep. And then the Super Series, which is our kind of a Grand Prix heat races mains deal. It's 11th season, so it's been going along for a while here.
Yeah, it's a fantastic program. Okay, we kind of touched base a little bit on what you're going to be doing protocol wise. Can you give us a little more insight? Is there something you're going to be doing for the grid? I'm assuming you have to wear masks. Are there hand washing stations? What have you guys put together trackside to kind of do all the steps you need to make things as safe as possible?
Right. Well, I mean, like you're going to see everywhere else on the planet, right? Social distancing is the refrain. Everybody's going to have to do the best they can and do their best to keep that social distancing. And as a track or as any facility, it's our job to try to make it as easy as possible for that to happen. And one of the things that we've got going on is, obviously on the hand washing, what have you, we've got hand washing station. We've also got the hand sanitizers in every single restroom, so you can hit it right there immediately. And then on the masks, they're required in all the common areas, right? So you got to, if you're going to be hanging out around each other, obviously the mask is right there, right? If you're in that common area, and the grid obviously kind of falls into that game. What we're going to try to do is try to keep the grid to a dull roar with the driver and a lone tuner or what have you allowed on that grid. So even on an open practice day, you're rolling up to the grid, you're going to go out on course. You can have that one person on the fence watching. We've got it all marked all the way down the fence. You guys have been here, so you know it's kind of a long stretch. We can put, we try to keep our practice sessions to 25, 30 people on track tops. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of space on the fence line for everybody to have their 6 feet.
To separate them around. That's good. That's awesome.
Exactly.
All right. So I'm sure that you're in touch with everybody at LAKC and Tri-C as you guys were getting to the point where you were ready to go and get started. What was the schedule discussion like after that with both programs kind of vying for dates?
Well, the nice thing is we got a really good relationship with LAKC and Tri-C, Nathan and Trish over at Tri-C, and obviously the Musgraves over there, especially Willie and Billy for LAKC. And it was constant, like, hey, so are we open yet? Are we open yet? And then once we got to this point, it wasn't like we had notice. We were literally closed. This time last week, it was no chance. We weren't opening. And then the governor put out the deal on Friday, and there we go. We're rocking and rolling. We got the absolute confirmation from NASCAR on Monday, and there we go. So now we're doing it. Yeah. And it's obviously been, how do we get going? The schedule has been kind of the secondary thing, but for June, it was kind of it's a ramp up process. So while we haven't had a bunch of time to dive into it, we're basically looking at is the calendar as it was from, say, July on, pretty much going to be the way it is. Not official yet. I got to actually work into it. Just trying to get through the weekend right now.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, we're trying to get some fill-in dates for the Tri-C guys that normally run Saturday only into some double headers. They actually announced their stuff yesterday. Again, the existing dates basically being double headers. They will actually get back into the game August 1st, 2nd is going to be their first shot. And actually what worked out for them is the Speedway hosts a couple of concerts, and those concerts got canceled, which opened up dates where we would normally have to be closed down. So they were able to slot into the first, second date and be able to get right in there. And actually the weekend immediately prior to them is July 26th, I think. That'll be LAKC's first return back. They were slated for the 27th of June. It's just a little early to be trying to do a competition karting here. So we're going to ramp up with open practice and arrive and drive stuff.
Dave, do you have the schedules written down there? I think, did you have those down to be able to help?
Yeah, as he said, August 1st and 2nd was what Tri-C announced for their opening rounds. And then another doubleheader September 19th through the 20th, and then October 3rd through 4th, rounding out 3 doubleheaders for them. As he said, LAKC, July 26th, they'll go to August 23rd, September 13th, October 18th, and then there's a to be determined in November and December. I'm assuming it depends on how things are with not only your schedule, but obviously the schedule of other surrounding events such as Rock the Rio, Super Nats, and other events as well.
Yeah, exactly. At this point, what's on the calendar and what we had for sure. Okay, the TBAs are heavy TBA because we just it's still a fluid situation, right? Like I said, last week we weren't open. This week we're going to try to, and as we both know, or we all know, that things change quick around here. So we'll see how it goes, and hopefully for the positive.
So in the off season, obviously one of the off season in this shutdown, this COVID-19 shutdown, one of the things we've been able to do at eKartingNews is kick out a bunch of different content, right? We've started off our 15th episode now of this face-to-face. We did a lot of Instagram live stuff, a ton of podcasts as well. You jumped in there as well. CalSpeed Live, you've got your own Full Caster podcast. Talk a little bit about the stuff that you've been doing, you and the crew have been doing to kind of make sure you connect with people that still race.
Well, and I guess that's it, right? Connect with them, right? Yeah. Karting's a huge community. It's everybody wants to be hanging out and with the stay-at-homes and all that kind of stuff, and just not being able to have any events. It's tough, man, because we want to hang out, we want to say hi and whatnot. That face-to-face stuff is really cool. Getting a chance to. Well, I mean, seeing you guys isn't so hot, but seeing other people is pretty cool.
Good stuff.
But the CalSpeed Live thing is something that we started last year. Just to kind of recap shows, preview shows, and stuff like that. And ironically, we were just off of our biggest episode in February, and then this everything happened. And it's just a really cool way to kind of stay in touch socially with everybody on the CalSpeed Live. And when we're going racing, recap what's going on, give shout outs to people who run either our Arrive and Drive, LAKC, or Tri-C, and just talk about different stuff. So it's a lot of fun, and just be able to kind of put a spotlight on different drivers around the area. And then the podcast thing is just something that Derek Escabel, the operations manager around here that I work with, and you guys know for various reasons.
Heather's awesome.
Some might call him Escabel. But obviously anybody from around here knows he's also a pretty damn good wheelman as well, and go out there and get things done. But him and I actually started a podcast. We had this idea about this time last year. We should do a podcast, but just kind of have conversations with people and get to know them. And I'll tell you, man, that has been so much fun, right? Because for instance, one of our favorite episodes was with Matt Johnson, right? National champion right now for Masters. And you be around the guy, the guy as being at the track or whatnot, but you don't know him. And so getting a chance to just have that, kind of origin stories and stuff like that, it's just, man, it's a blast. It's a lot of fun, that podcast, Full Caster podcast.
There it is. Have a look at it, folks. And we did the same thing, right? One of my early Instagram lives, I had a chance to go back and talk with James Hinchcliffe, and we talked about his origin story. And I keep using I love the origin story. I want to hear how someone got into the sport, right? And you go back, Matt Johnson's been doing this for how many years? 30 years, probably, if not more.
Yeah, he just turned 40, and he's been doing it since he was about 12. And we finished the episode. It was damn near 3 hours long, and we could have kept going, but we had another recording.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Part 1, part 2, right?
Yeah, and we're looking for 3, 4, 5. Keep going.
That's awesome. I love it. Hey, just for people now, where do you guys put that? Where can people go if they want to listen to the Fullcaster podcast?
You can actually jump on any of your standard stuff, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that kind of stuff. But the URL for us is fullcasterpodcast /buzzsprout.com.
All right, cool. Dave, what else?
On there?
Well, I was going to say that I think it helps with the CalSpeed Live because you bring a number of components together because you have the competition side of things with as you said LAKC Tri-C stuff, but the sport kart stuff that you do with the Ironman and the Super Sports. So, I mean, we're talking big numbers. I mean, we're talking over probably 200 drivers that come to you throughout a month to do that. Correct?
Yeah, maybe even more, to be honest with you, because we have the Ironman series, which is 30 people on track max, and then we have the Super Series, which we do 90 entries max, and then our Sprint Series, which is kind of a rung below that, right? It's like our Indy Lights or what have you, and they kind of they graduate up, and that's got 90 people. Man. So we joke around that we're maybe the third largest club in California with the Arrive and Drive.
Well, the cool thing is, and of course, a lot of this was born out of the fact that when they closed the Dromo 1 indoor kart track in Orange, right? It was a fantastic track. The indoor stuff had a great league going on. Guys got dialed in with Rob and fired this thing up at CalSpeed. Look, the interesting thing, we all talk about indoor karting and how it can kind of feed outdoor karting. This is just absolutely ideal because they're on the racetrack. They're at the facility. At times, they're able to potentially see it on a mixed practice day. They're able to see guys racing full competition karts. When you're talking about a ladder system, you guys are working their way up into your program. How many guys do you see jump out of that into full-time karting? Are you guys doing such a great job with the experience of it that they're staying in the Super Series and the Ironman?
No, we're the best. We're absolutely the best. We don't
pat yourself on your back. It's okay.
And actually, to your point, origin story, right? Yeah, yep. Dromo 1 was where it all kind of started. They kind of shut down about the time the Super Series started back in 2010, and it's just been ramping up ever since then. But absolutely, there's a ladder system. You got people just kind of checking things out, whether they came from an indoor center or what have you. Then they'll come out here, maybe do a race clinic, kind of figure it out. And a lot of them, there's a few that'll come out like, oh man, I'm the best at K1 or what have you. And they come out here and just get murdered. And we're like, yeah, it's different. It's a different story. So, yeah, exactly. Right. They do the clinic, Sprint Series, move on to the Super Series, maybe do Ironman, etc. And then, yes, do we see some people move on? I'll tell you, especially after the 206 program started kicking off with Tri-C and whatnot, we do see some people, we see more people move up. And then with our CSK racing team, we've actually had a lot of people graduate into that and then do other things as well. But the 206 thing has really blossomed. Even with KA, we've seen some of the again with the ladder. Yeah. You go from the Arrive and Drive to 206. I was just
going to go with that. Yeah. Yeah.
Slots right into KA, which in my opinion is basically the 2-stroke 206, if you will. The racing's very similar.
What else you got, David? I'm going to grab something here real quick.
Oh, that's great. That's. I think he's grabbing the helmet. I don't know. Or who knows? Maybe some photo. I think we kind of covered everything other than iRacing. We haven't covered any iRacing because you seem to be doing some coaching, and I don't think it's really helping certain clients that you're working with.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's it's pro bono, and when you don't get paid,
you get what you pay for.
Yeah, it's like a 5% help, but. Yeah, and we're talking about Derek who jumped into it, and actually the iRacing thing is really cool, and I actually did it heavily from end of 14 through beginning of 17, and then ironically started karting again in 206, getting an opportunity from RLV to do KPX and whatnot, and the wife was like, "Hey, so if you're going to be racing real life, do you really need to do that all the time?" And yeah, as you guys know, if you want to be good at anything, you got to put time in. iRacing's no different. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens. We all start going racing again. How many people do the iRacing thing still? I hope it doesn't die off because it's a hell of a lot of fun.
Hey, listen. Speaking of your actual coaching abilities, I'll give a shout out for you because a couple of years ago you gave me the chance to come up and race with you guys, the CSK team, on one of the VLRs, and we obviously all your guys went out for the track walk. I think it was the first Tri-C race about 2 or 3, maybe 3 years ago, and
right,
the whole the group underneath, the way you guys were able to take care of it, the track walk was actually fantastic. I remember finishing the track walk up, going, man, it was really in depth. It was solid, and I personally have never driven that track. I had a really good feel for it, so I'll give you a shout out there. That was a really great experience.
Thanks,
that was fun.
Appreciate it. Yeah,
that was fun.
Coaching's a hell of a lot of fun too, and those who can't, right? But I try to. I think
you'd be a great coach.
I would. I keep trying to tell my kids I know what I'm doing, but they don't listen.
You keep coloring outside the lines. You got to stay in the lines. But yeah, the coaching thing's a hell of a lot of fun.
Here's what I was thinking. What I reached back for was I think we're going to do the EKN Fast 5 with Mike Smith.
Okay.
I think that'd be a good answer to reach because I don't have them in front of me, so I don't know what I can actually say. But before we jump, we'll cap things off with that. What else we got going? Anybody? Anything else you guys want to hit on right now? Do we talk about Mike? And you're not going to get a chance to race this year, are you?
Yeah, I mean the timing of this thing is kind of tough. We were actually planning on doing some racing this weekend, the regional tour, and fortunately, like, don't get me wrong, stoked that we're rolling again this weekend and kind of get back into the swing. I love doing this, love being here. This is the best. But selfishly, sure, yeah, I want to go racing and wanted to shot another championship and get ready for the races in the fall. And it's not going to happen this weekend. That kind of kills my championship. So hopefully we just maybe hit some stuff here and there, get ready, and hopefully we can be around. And hopefully the races are going to go off without a hitch in the fall.
Super
Rio and Super Nats. So those are my hope. That's my hope. But I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of seat time, I don't think, outside of a sport cart and some practices, unfortunately.
Yeah, again, I think for a lot of people. I know David and I are lucky. We do have, I think, 3 or 4 races that we're able to still lock in, but you never know what's going to come down the pipe to change things that could potentially alter that too, which is tough.
Yeah, as you guys know, if you're on this side of the fence, to get on track and actually be a part of what you love to be a part of, man, it's tough. And Rob Niles, who runs CalSpeed, he's the best, and he's always given me an opportunity to do what I love to do, not only for work, but also if I get a chance to get behind the wheel. And I ask, he says yes. And this is a situation where he's like, I know you want to go, baby, but this isn't going to be the one. And and when you say yes all the time, you got to take a no every once in a while.
That's very true. That's very
all
true.
Good.
I hear no all the time.
Yeah. That's why you're so upset about losing the Howden all the time. When you do get out there, you just, man,
I know.
Hey, hold on.
Don't make it happen.
Name me one race I've said no.
There's got to be some. I just can't think of them right now.
He's let your iRacing career take off without any issue, right?
That I have to deal with the boss upstairs.
Hey, we've even done races where I've done his job for a little bit because he was actually racing on a Trackside Live weekend. Now let's hold on.
Now, mind you, he still doesn't do my job as well as I do it. But
I shouldn't say racing because driving off the racetrack in the gravel at Phoenix isn't really racing. You have to be on the racetrack.
It's pushing the limits, right? As a coach would tell you, yeah.
Yeah, but you find the limit, David, and then you step back off the limit. You don't keep driving over the limit, driving over the limit, and driving over the limit. Like every time.
It was the start. Give me a break. I was trying to go full throttle and it didn't work.
Every time someone was off the racetrack, I knew who to call. I didn't have to look. I just David Cole off the track again.
And Beer had the photos to match it.
You got your back to it.
Yeah.
All right.
Must be David.
David. Yeah, I didn't even have to look. Driver off. David Cole off the racetrack. All right, let's do this. We haven't done this with you before. We're at 39 minutes. This is the EKN Fast 5, my friend. Some big dogs have done this. We did it with actually Hinchcliffe as well, which was great. Are you ready for the Fast 5?
Yeah, sounds like I'll be in decent company.
You'll be all right. All right, Mike Smith, EKN Radio Fast 5. What was your first kart? Question number 1, and give us some detail.
It was a tracker. It was actually a prototype chassis was a guy named Elmer. I was 12. My dad actually worked it off. It was a little shop in Canby, Oregon. I actually started at Pat's Acres of the Portland Karting Association. The little bit I remember was it was a tracker Formula A, and it was the frame rails were actually in an A. They went all the way as one single rail all the way around from the back to the front, and then the yokes went off of that. Did pretty good in that in Junior 1 4-cycle, but and it was, I remember it was powder coated red, had virtually no adjustment whatsoever, and yeah,
that's awesome.
About all I remember on that thing.
Okay, so you've been racing for a while, since you were 12, obviously, indoor, outdoor. Question number 2, what's your favorite kart track?
Ooh, favorite kart track? Man, that's tough. I'll actually say, because to your point, I've done a bunch of, I've probably done more tracks indoor than I have outdoor. Ironically, I still haven't run at places like Adams or Paris or Granger, any of the stuff that's right around here. It's only been CalSpeed. But indoor, I got to give a shout out to actually Victory Lane Karting in Charlotte, which is Fred Ogrim's place, and they would always change the track and whatnot. But some of the most fun I've ever had at the 24 Hours in Charlotte was there. But for outdoor, man, that is tough. I'm pretty partial to Pat's Acres. That place is a lot of fun. It's just a lot of memories growing up and actually doing arrive and drive leagues and stuff like that later. Yeah.
Pat's Acres. I like that. It's a fantastic racetrack for sure. Question number 3. What is the biggest win in your karting career?
Man.
Machismo.
That's
a big win.
Pretty solid. There's a big anchor on that team when we ran.
No, and by anchor, you mean I anchored the effort.
Yeah.
Hey, I got my one stint to bed.
30 minutes.
Done.
To be fair, I was surprised you even did it because you were on the. We're talking about machismo at the Rio, at night. So you were yelling on the mic all day and then hung out for a little bit. Man,
and I came down in the morning. I came down in the morning.
It was early.
Yeah, that was the eKartingNews.com team. That was fun.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that was probably my worst win of all the wins.
No, you weren't really a part of it. No. Gene Hoy, I think, kind of carried us.
Yo, absolutely. Yeah. She's great too. Oh man, I mean, honestly, I think the first big win for me, and probably one that it really has some great memories, is actually it was indoor, and it was the 2008 Indoor Karting Championship, the national championship.
U.S. Indoor Karting Championship.
You were actually there. Yep. You called it, and just that whole vibe, and then you being there and just amping things up, and again, it being my first thing that I got a chance to win on that kind of. It's a big stage at the time, and it was pretty damn cool.
Well, you know,
and then even though the.
I was going to say, let me.
I was going to say, even though the okay, go ahead.
People don't understand how big of a race that was, because obviously everybody's in the outdoor world. At that time, indoor karting was big. There was leagues. We had like 10 or 11 leagues on eKartingNews.com. There was a U.S. championship. Yeah. People were coming in from Oregon, from California, from Florida, from Victory Lane, right? From Charlotte. Yeah. Like everywhere people were coming in for this race. Yeah. And the cool thing about the indoor deal, it was like a 3-day deal, all the heat races, the super final, and you were always swapping different karts. And the beauty of that, to be fast there, is you had to be able to adapt. Sometimes you got a great kart, sometimes you got a piece of shit. And it was the people that could make the POS go fast that ran up front, because they were able to take that crap cart and get a top 5. That was such an amazing event. People don't understand how great it was. We're all hanging around the track the entire day. It was amazing.
Yeah, no, it was so much fun. And again, like I said, the atmosphere. It's not unlike what you would have in any big competition karting event. Mm-hmm. It's a national championship, like you said. People from all over the country were there, and freaking good drivers. And a lot of them I know have gone on and done other stuff. But I'd say that, and then again, that feeling of being at a big event. Last year's Streets of Lancaster was pretty damn cool. Even though, I mean, I didn't have to race anybody a bunch, just the way it worked out for me. But still, man, to come out of that final corner and know you got the double checker is pretty damn cool.
That was cool, no doubt. All right, let's go this one here. You have a long career, so find this one. I don't know if it's going to be new, it's going to be older. Question number 4 for the EKN Fast 5. Who is your biggest rival?
Oof, biggest rival. Indoor, it was probably depending on what we were doing, but there's a kid named Truman Godfrey that was actually a local at the Arizona track, and he was, before I kind of came in, he was probably the guy, and so I would say that probably that guy, and then outdoor and more recently and great, I would say rivalry, because I always wanted to beat him whenever I got on course, would be John Crow. Got a chance to go wheel to wheel with him in both 206 and KA, and the amount that I learned from him and just the mental game I'm playing, because we're not going as fast. And while he's a freaking wheelman, as everybody knows the name John Crow, and to try to beat somebody of his talent mentally, God dang, was a hell of a lot of fun for a couple of years there. We got a chance to race each other. So like John Crow, but not a bad one. It was a great rivalry.
And he's older than you.
Much. So I had to win.
You should try to tell Cole how that works.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 5. We'll wrap it up here. Number 5. Who has been your biggest mentor or influence?
Well, I think you could probably, depending on what kind of part of things, you could pick a bunch of different people, right? When I was, I think, I wouldn't be who I am and in racing and my outlook on stuff like that. So I'd say probably the person who made the biggest influence on me would be my dad, Kevin Smith. He doesn't do a lot of racing. He's just a crazy smart mechanic and whatnot, and did everything for me. But more than that, it was the values that he instilled in me when I was a kid. Sportsmanship being a big deal, and I think that's I gotta say my dad, because of those things that I learned in karting. Literally, was just when I was a kid going racing with him out of the back of a pickup, that carry on today, and how I teach people and how I want people to run, and how I try to run the show. And it's got to be him, and how big sportsmanship is in everything I do.
Dude, that's awesome. You did it. EKN Fast 5. Thanks, Mike. That was great. All right, guys. What do you got, Cole? We're pretty much wrapped up here.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Wish you well for this weekend. I hope things go well. I hope people listen and do what they need to do, and the weekend should go as smoothly as possible.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And real quick, just to make sure everybody's on the same page, we've got more information on CalSpeedKarting.com coming, whether it be the Facebook page, the website. We're actually doing, like I said, we're doing the online reg. We're making videos to show you how to do that. We're really trying to make this process, which is going to be, if we want to compare it, more inconvenient, a bigger pain in the butt, all that kinds of crap. But it's still what we got to do, and we're going to try to make it as painless as possible. And with a little bit of patience, is going to go a long way. So stay on top of all of our social media, website, and everything like that. If you have questions, don't just get upset or keep it to yourself. Let us know. Let's see if we can make the process as good as possible.
That's how you make things better, right? Some feedback. Give us constructive feedback, and then we can make it better. Don't bitch about it. Just tell us what we can do, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Mike, man, thank you so much for joining us from Fontana. We appreciate it. Good luck this weekend, as David said. Get you guys out racing, have some fun. You get to hear the engines again. You get to smell the 2-stroke mixture. It's time to get back to racing.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, it's gonna be so good knowing that you guys can't, just being able to soak it up. I get to, you guys can't. Just be stuck over there.
Well,
I take that back. That's not true.
You're learning quickly. You're good on this show.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I have to shout out. I talked about not doing a lot of racing and whatnot, but I got to throw it back to the helmet there, Stilo USA, and Jay Braxton give me an opportunity with that thing. Still gonna be wearing the lid as much as possible around here, and trying to promote the Stilo brand, which is absolutely the best. So
yeah. So if you're at CalSpeed this weekend, you're trying to find Mike Smith. He's the guy walking around with shorts, a t-shirt, and a Stilo helmet on.
Yeah, I actually never did. They said masks. I'm like, got it.
I got one here. It's perfect. Mike, thanks for joining us, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Mike, that is Mike Smith from CalSpeed Karting. Great to have him here, and David. So good to have California karting getting rolling again. It's part of the hot spots where one of the core components, core communities for karting in the U.S. and to get that going again, that's big.
Yeah, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, some tracks have been a little bit under the radar. But when you open a facility that's well known like this, and as he said, he's working directly with the ownership of Auto Club Speedway, and that's corporation after corporation.
Yeah.
So everything has to go down the order to get back to him, and thankfully they're now obviously the way that NASCAR and IndyCar now have been able to open up. It provides this opportunity now for their facility, the CalSpeed Karting track, to actually open up and get going as well.
Yeah, and look for the domino, right? The cascade effect of all the tracks in Northern California, everybody to start getting rolling again. We'll reach out and see if we can't talk to the folks at Sonoma Raceway as well to find out what's going on at the Sim Racecraft Performance Karting Center. I'm sure they'll be getting rolling in soon, but it's great to see them going. Great to see a lot of racing coming this weekend. We know we had Andy Saisman on. He's going to have his California Rock Championship getting rolling next weekend in Phoenix. So awesome to have some of the, not just clubs, David, but some of the regional series getting rolling as well.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, Cup Karts North America got going last weekend. Stuff in Florida is going to be going up pretty soon. Ontario.
This weekend.
What's that?
Buckeye this weekend.
Buckeye, who we talked with on Monday, or whatever day it was. I'm losing track of what day we are. Tuesday.
Look at your calendar.
I know, but I don't have the actual day we talked to him written down. I know it was a mistake. Because I was thinking about next week when we have our Monday, Wednesday, Thursday show program. So it's we're slowly getting back to where we want to be with the sport.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Shout out to everybody that came on to say hello. Tony Jump, Dave Waite, Mark Trailer, MGM Chassis, they came on. April Paul saying hello. We'll get them on a show coming up here real soon. Mike Wagner from Wagner Race Products, who supplied me with my Sim PC when mine went down. I was trying to start calling iRacing events. I did 30 iRacing events so far. I'm doing another one on Sunday for 31 and 32 on Monday. So try to keep myself sharp. Heidi Welt came on and said hello. Derek Escabel. Escabel. Shout out to Brian Williamson up in Washington State. Elaine St. Clair. Andy Saisman came on to say hello, and he was talking about how fat you are. So I don't know.
No, I thought he was talking about how fat.
No,
Mike
I think
is.
he was. Well, maybe
because he was saying how Crow is really thin and how Mike is not thin. I think
That's
is what
true.
he was trying to say.
Well, he's a plus size model.
He's a plus size model.
Wow, I was going hard. You went.
Oh, I thought you meant Andy. Sorry.
Oh, true. That's wow, man.
He's a Crown Royal size, right?
I like that.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Thanks for joining us again at the start of the broadcast here. We did our first draw. We'll do another one next week. Caleb Gaffaro Racing, who ordered a ton of stuff. Our shirts are, let me support karting t-shirts. They're still available. eKartingNews.com/store. All the proceeds from these t-shirts go all to the EKN partners in the industry, and we thank you for that. Kind of help them with what they're doing here. They've been supporting us, those that have stayed with us through this time. We thank these guys so much because without them, there wouldn't be any eKarting news. That's what it comes down to. David wouldn't have a job. I wouldn't have a job, and we'd both be doing something not near as fun. David, good stuff, buddy. It is Thursday, almost to the weekend.
It is Thursday. Yes, Thursday. And we got a bunch of shows coming next week as well, too.
Yeah, we're going to try to do one of our This Week in Karting shows actually here live as well, because we turn that into a Facebook page anyway. So rather into an eKarting News radio network program, a podcast. So let's do it. We'll get on here and they get to look at your ugly mug for a while, Dave.
Yeah, that's the only downside I have to it, because people don't want to look at me, especially you, especially with that haircut. Thankfully, you're wearing a hat.
I look good.
But Monday I am getting a haircut, so I will actually look good. So that'll be.
It's pretty rough right now.
Well, what do you mean it's rough? I mean,
that's as long as I've ever seen it.
It's wintertime. It's a wintertime here.
I've never seen it that long before.
Yeah. I should be a surfer dude now, right?
Dude, look at that. Get some product in there. Get that thing waved up. That looks good.
It's the grays on the side, though, that are bad.
Yeah, welcome, buddy. Here comes the salt and pepper.
I know.
That's it. You're going to be Supermaster's age in a couple years.
4 more years.
That's funny. I was actually playing. I'll wrap this up. I was playing golf with last week with a guy named Jonathan Erlin, who was a top racer in Canada and the U.S. in the late 90s. And he and I were laughing the fact that when I started covering Jonathan and Daniel DeLeo and some of these guys, Jesse Lamont, they were young. They were like 8, 9 years of age in cadet. Now I have to race against them in Masters. I'm getting old.
You are.
I'm getting old.
I keep reminding you that every day.
I don't feel old though, David. I feel fantastic.
Well, as you mentioned, wasn't it? So the happy hour with Howden that we played on the EKN Radio Network was from 2005. Is when my dad turned 50 that day. Yeah. He's not 50 anymore. That's for sure.
Now I'm older than your dad was.
Yes.
Back then.
Maybe that's why your voice has gone lower.
My voice was pretty high. It was kind of squawky back then.
It's when they drop more.
I also have 15 years of experience from that time too. I'd only been announcing for about 7 years at that point. So
yeah,
wow.
15 years of wear and tear, I think, is more what it boils down to.
David Waite says, "Did you call the Oktoberfest in 1998?" I actually did. I was racing Yamaha that year. I won Oktoberfest.
Was that the year with you like this and
1997?
Tony Ventresca going no?
1997, I won the Oktoberfest Grand Prix. I beat Tony Ventresca and I beat Mark Miller as well.
Yeah. Mark Miller,
he's gone a little farther than I have.
Yeah. That's your claim to fame, is beating Mark Miller.
Still one of the coolest races in Canada. At one point, it was the largest single one-day four-cycle race in Canada at the Waterloo Regional Kart Club. We'd have 180, 190, 200 drivers. It was awesome. It was a lot of big dogs that won that race, which was cool. Always fun to be in that one. And it snowed every once in a while. So
yeah. So you got that.
I had that. All right, folks, we're going to wrap this thing up. Again, we got 3 face-to-faces coming next week. This Week in Karting. We're going to grab a hold of Greg Jasperson from Cup Karts North America, as David had mentioned, talk about the race they've just had. We'll talk about the remaining events of the Champions Cup, and then we'll talk about the Cup Karts North America Grand Nationals on October the 2nd and 3rd. They're expecting he's saying over 300 racers. He's being conservative. We had 280 last race. I'm thinking 350, but I don't know whether or not they're going to be able to handle it. That's a lot. Where are they going to fit it in? Because it's just such a massive race. Anyways, that's in October. We'll have our second annual Rob Howden's Burger Smash that weekend as well. Raise some money for Riley Kids. And then on Thursday, we're going to talk to the good folks at Racing for Vets. That's going to be a really cool story. You're going to want to tune into that one. If you can't tune in because we're in the middle of the day, maybe you're at work, whatever it may be, all of these go up onto YouTube. David then, of course, has it as an MP3 as well. That goes on the EKN Radio Network for a day, and then we turn it into a podcast as well. So lots of opportunities to consume our face-to-face content.
Lots of different channels, different areas, different ways of taking it all in.
There it is. Folks, if you're not going back to racing, get your stuff ready to go. Order something from a kart shop. Get yourself ready because we are all going racing real soon. We're here almost into the middle of June. Lots of racing going on, some regional racing this week, next week, and coming on. Our sport's firing back up. But please, take care of each other. Social distancing, stay apart, no high fives to the track, wash your hands, wear your mask. Let's be smart. We have to do all the right stuff. We have to do all the right stuff.
I was social distancing from you. Sorry.
Oh, I thought you were leaning over to fart on me. I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh, that too. No, I'm social distancing. You got to go the other way. There we go.
Nicely done. Thanks for joining us, folks. Here, this is what I did at that happy hour with Howden podcast. My old sign off used to be, to the inside, book it.